There is interesting news in the Mueller investigation. What? Oh, no, I'm just saying that when the media watches this cabinet meeting before Trump kicks them out, I'm putting myself in the position, say, of being at CNN and watching this, and they get up and they think they've destroyed Trump again all morning. They've destroyed Trump on Stormy Daniels and the Make America Horny Again tour. They've been all over that today. Can't let go of it. They think they've destroyed Trump with the latest Mueller revelations. They think they've destroyed Trump with George Nader. And then they see Trump totally unaffected by what they're doing. And I'm telling you, it bums them out. And it makes them mad. And it probably makes them redouble their efforts. Hey, grab soundbite number 28. I meant to mention this earlier in the busy broadcast. The latest bombshell on the Mueller investigation today is apparently there's a story that involves, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Seychelles. I've never heard it pronounced, so it's France. I've got to guess at it. So I look at it and say Seychelles. Now, I know it's not Seychelles, but that's how it looks to me. Seychelles or some such thing. Nobody knows where the Seychelles Islands are. Actually off the coast of India, part of the subcontinent. If you're going to be in the American State Department or if you're going to run for president, you have to know what the subcontinent is. And when you're talking about southern India, you don't say southern India. You have to say the subcontinent. That's how Bush proved that he was worthy of being elected, because Condi Rice confirmed that Bush knew what the subcontinent was. I'll never forget it. Anyway, that's where Mueller's investigation has gone now, to the Seychelles Islands off the coast of India. The Washington Post is reporting today that the George Nader, the guy that nobody ever heard of until this week, George Nader is telling Mueller's Inquisition that the Trump team, via Eric Prince, who is the former CEO of Blackwater. And you know what Blackwater is? Blackwater is that evil mercenary bunch that was doing all kinds of behind-the-scenes deals in Afghanistan and Iraq. Basically paid military muscle. Blackwater. They were teaching us how to torture, and they were doing torture and all, and they were hated and despised. Well, Eric Prince ran the organization. And so the Washington Post says that George Nader is telling Mueller's Inquisition that the Trump team, by way of Blackwater, held a meeting in the Seychelles just a week before the inauguration to try to establish a back channel to the Russian government. Soundbite 28. Here's Pencil Neck. He's all hot about it. He's all hot. Adam Schiff. You need a jock strap here to keep the guy contained.
It would be my hope that we could have Mr. Nader, special counsel permitting, come before our committee at the appropriate time, and that we also have Eric Prince come back before the Intelligence Committee so we can determine which account is accurate.
All right, let me put this in perspective for you. Okay, so the Washington Post today says Eric Prince, Blackwater, somehow set up a meeting a week before Trump was to be inaugurated between Trump officials, George Nader, and the Russians in the Seychelles Islands. For what purpose? Did you hear what they said? To set up a back channel for communications to Russia. Now, somebody needs to explain something to me. Why are we supposed to believe that Trump, who colluded with Putin for a year and a half to steal the election from piano legs Hillary Clinton, Trump is working with the Russians behind the scenes for a year and a half, succeeds in stealing the election, but a week before the inauguration needed to set up a back channel to the Russians? It would seem to me that they already had the back channel if Trump had been colluding. So this story in the Post tells me that there hasn't been and wasn't any collusion if they're trying to set up a back channel a week before the inauguration. And I'm not even saying I believe that. Don't misunderstand. I'm just saying this is all caca now. Every bit of it is. Yeah. Okay, stand by. As they're going to resume the audio sound bites here at number 5. We get to them. And welcome back, folks. It's great to be with you. Thank you so much for being with us today and every day here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, Anti-Leftist Studies, Anti-Media Studies. 800-282-2882. If you want to be on the program, I've now been informed the correct pronunciation is Seychelles, not Seychelles. Seychelles. And it's Indian out there. And this idea that Trump, they're on this meeting with Eric Prince to set up a back channel between Trump administration and the Kremlin. There are conflicting dates where this meeting took place. One date is 1 week before the inauguration, and another reputed date is in January of 2017. One is pre-inauguration, one is after Trump has been inaugurated. And I think everybody's missing the point. If they want to look at, oh my gosh, this could be like a Michael Flynn thing. Oh my God, when he talked to the Russian ambassador, Trump was in transition and whatever. Would somebody explain to me if Trump had been colluding with Putin, which is what all of this nonsense is about, is it not? Then why the hell would they need a back channel a week before the inauguration or afterwards? What would be the point of having a back channel? It seems to me that they would long ago have had a back channel. In fact, they'd have had a whole bunch of back channels if Trump was colluding with Russia. But this is all absurd. Hillary was colluding with Russia. The Democrats were colluding with Russia. Fusion GPS was colluding with Russia. Christopher Steele was colluding with Russia. The law firm Perkins Coie was colluding with Russia. John Kerry, we have learned that John Kerry had some involvement in the Steele dossier when he was Secretary of State during the second Obama term. This is all such nonsense. And it's all coming from this Nader guy who is also, along with Clinton ties, as does this Australian ambassador. In fact, let me jump forward to that for just a second. This is a story from LifeZet.com. FBI's Australian Trump-Russia tipster. This is the guy who was talking to Papadopoulos when Papadopoulos had consumed too much adult beverage, running off at the mouth, and said something about Trump that this Australian tipster, the ambassador, Alexander Downer, a diplomat, his tip to the FBI about a conversation in a London pub led to a massive probe of allegations of collusions between the Trump campaign and Russia. This guy is closely tied not just to the Clintons. This guy had donated $25 million from the Australian government to the Clinton Foundation. And this guy is a source for the FBI against Trump. But not only that, he is himself closely tied to a Chi-Com firm that experts say is deeply involved in espionage against America. Just last month, folks, all 6 top heads of U.S. intelligence agencies warned Americans against using digital telecommunications equipment produced by a Chi-Com smartphone producer named Huawei. Now, that is spelled Huawei. For those in real Linda, maybe easier to think of it as Huawei. But the correct pronunciation is Huawei. And they do make smartphones. They do Apple knockoffs in many instances. They are inexorably tied to the Chi-Com government. And all 6 intelligence heads in America said, we are deeply concerned about the risks of allowing any company or entity that is beholden to foreign governments like the Chi-Coms to gain positions of power inside our telecommunications networks. That's what Chris Wray of the FBI told members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. The point is, Huawei is deeply involved in security, deeply involved in spying, and they are deeply involved in the Chi-Com government. And this Australian diplomat is on their board. And this guy is giving FBI tips that's leading to the investigation of Trump. This is such a disaster. But I don't mean disaster for Trump. It's a scam. This whole thing is a giant scam. That it lives on every day continues to frustrate the hell out of me. This thing should have never started, and it should have been put to bed shortly after it did, because there isn't, even today, there is no evidence. Now, the story about the Seychelles meeting, Mueller gathers evidence. 2017 Seychelles meeting was effort to establish back channel at Kremlin. This is supposed to be the big news of the day from the Russian front. But I think it undermines the entire collusion story because it's about a back channel that Trump tried to set up in January before he was inaugurated or shortly thereafter. And it literally makes no sense. Would not need a back channel. Hey, one more thing on the Seychelles meeting that is big news today, the big news in the Russian front today, that supposedly the Blackwater guy, Eric Prince, met with somebody in Russia and set up a back channel for Trump on the eve of his inauguration or shortly after. You know, they've already tried this once before. All the way last May, we're coming at 10 months ago, there was a story that Jared Kushner had met with Kislyak, the Russian ambassador at the time, in December of 2016, after the election. And it was for the purposes of setting up a back channel. This is what we were told. There were news stories. It wasn't part of the Mueller investigation. It was just a series of news stories from the usual suspects. Kushner and Kislyak supposedly met in December to set up a back channel. Well, if that happened, then what was Eric Prince doing setting up one a month later? And why were either of these happening if Trump colluded with Russia? There would have been an existing back channel for a year and a half. They're now recycling these allegations, folks, and putting different people in different time frames. And it is the biggest crock. It is an embarrassment to American law enforcement what these people are doing.